Hello everyone. Before we start today's video, if you could all do me a solid and lightly tap the like button, perhaps share the video about and leave a comment. If you are not subscribed, subscribe as well. It would greatly help this channel. Thank you very much. Well, isn't this just fantastic? Captain's log, subject 220803.7. We're finally getting a chance to lock someone up that we've been waiting for far too long. It's just a shame really that the person we are covering today didn't receive justice where they are. What a shocker. Hello everyone and welcome to the Halls of Injustice. Today we're going to go back in time to cover somebody that I have spoken of before who had at the time not been sentenced for her crimes. A lady from Tomball, Texas. She's from Texas, and she committed a crime that I'm never the fan of. I find these types of criminals to be the types that belong in prison for the rest of their lives. There are no mitigating factors where I'll ever consider it any different. Our inmate's name is Marka Bodine, and I was alerted to her and reminded of her via recent streams on Twitch. These messages reminded me of what she had done, which I'm going to play a clip of before we get to her sentence, which we're going to have a conversation about. We really are. So let us go back in time and talk a bit about who Marka Bodine is, what she did, and why she belongs in prison for the rest of her life. Marka Bodine. I found out about Marka shortly after I had released a video on Candice Barber, where I shielded on Twitter. Not long after, my dear friend CharmingMan93, YouTuber called Mitch, tweets at me with a retweet. Another one, Meg. The retweet goes to Breaking 911. I am not going to read that one to you yet. Instead, we're going to talk about Marka Bodine. This cell, in fact, is all for you. Yay. I can't wait for you to be found guilty. So the story we are now about to go through took place, as mentioned, in Tomball, Texas, but also happened in 2018. Yes, it does stretch back a while. This story is going to seem eerily familiar to quite a number of Halls of Injustices we have done concerning a certain profession, a certain gender, and certain illegal activities. So in 2018, Marka Bodine started a sexual relationship with a person we are going to call John Doe. This relationship started up over video games, where Marka Bodine would play video games with John Doe online, and it didn't take long before this blossomed and bloomed, which would then include Marka sending very inappropriate pictures and videos of herself to John Doe, which then led to the sexual interactions. There's another word for that, for the interactions and for what happened, but we'll get to that soon. You all know what I'm going to say. Yeah. And while many would consider a lot of this to be foreplay, there is a darker name for it. An obviously darker name. This relationship lasted for 3 years. 3 years, and only ended with the police getting involved and the school board. So I've gathered by now you've all guessed where this is going. Because John Doe got a bit overwhelmed. Understandably so, because John Doe's 13 years old. Marka is 31, and so that meant by definition she was in fact grooming and raping a child. Texas takes this quite seriously. So in April of 2021, John Doe approached the school and told them of what was happening. They then went to the police, who swiftly arrested Marka Bodine, and the school, as a response, did in fact put her on indefinite leave by suspending her, which means very little as she has since gone on to resign. Another rather sordid aspect of this is that Marka had originally been married, but not long after starting this air quotes relationship of John Doe, she had actually gotten divorced and moved. Where did she move, you ask? She moved to the same apartment building complex as the one that John Doe resided within, although there is no mention yet of any sexual interactions taking place within that building. Instead, Marka preferred to rape the boy in the classroom or in her car. At present, the Tomball Police Chief Jeff Burt believes that this is a definite cry for help. After he had, John Doe that is, reached out to a school, reached out to the police department as well, so he himself believes that the boy John Doe became overwhelmed with it and felt the only way forward and to free himself was to get help. I do not care for this whole teacher taking advantage of a student. It has become so cliche. Within this series, The Halls of Injustice, the vast majority of female perps that are women are teachers who have taken advantage of boys. And in every single one, it always references in all the articles that I have sourced, teacher has sex with minor. Allow me to give you first of all the correct word, or words. Statutory rape. That's what it is. It is also grooming, and while I'm sure many consider it, the criminals especially, a power play, it also looks like somebody who's trying to mother a child and take it too far, which is where I'm sure many will argue, oh, but the mental health of the person involved who committed the crime. Most of the current investigation indicates that it's been about 2.5 to 3 years, and it does appear that this is one of those cases where grooming of the child was involved. In other words, getting the person to feel trusted initially. Marka Bodine actually claimed to the school officials that this former student had harassed her, threatened to hurt her, and was manipulating private pictures of her. She has currently been bailed out on a $100,000 bond and is awaiting trial. There's a little more to this, because the boy also left the school. He is in fact no longer attending any schools within this district. And at such a young age, you can be sure if Marka Bodine is in fact guilty, he will have to get help to get back on his feet so he doesn't live a life that he doesn't deserve, i.e. one of constantly feeling like crap. My issue here at the Cubes is that we keep on having the same type of female perpetrators. It is to me a massive indicator of how people like to commit their crimes. While there's also a varying level of male malevolence, there's an odd similarity to the vast majority of female perp crimes. I find it quite strange, and yes, I know I've said this before, but it is a very strange thing that these type of crimes keep cropping up. So while I was streaming a fishing simulator game called Fishing North Atlantic over on Twitch, a commenter wrote, "Bit random, but I hope you saw my comments on a YouTube video you did a few weeks ago. Her sentencing is next week. I, at the time, did not know who they were referring to and admitted as such. So they followed up with Bodine, and I realized they were talking about Marka. Marka Bodine had pleaded guilty, which meant that I would have to come back here and do this video, because closure is important, and noncery must be called out for what it is. I had thought, being in Texas, this would be taken super serial. The same person who wrote in my chat also said sentencing is on the 2nd, but I 100% think she will not get jail time. Her story outside of what's published is absolutely crazy, and the reason why is because Marka Bodine now has mitigating factors that may well aid. When it comes to sentencing female perps, if they have something on the outside that they're considered the caregiver of a child more notably, the sentence is likely to be diminished significantly so that the child does not lose the caregiver. The sentencing gap, everyone, is real, and in this, that mitigating factor never really applies to male perps, because he should have known better. And as you can see here from the commenter in question, yes, she got married and had a kid. Congratulations, ya nonce. Yesterday, while I was streaming again, I got a follow-up comment though, and this is because the sentencing was happening roughly 30 minutes after that comment was left. Comment reads, "Don't mean to bring it up so much. Her court time is in 30 minutes. I will be constantly refreshing, updated, and will see what's going on." This is quite interesting. Now, I had said to them, instead, send me a message or an email or one bulk message near the end when the sentence was administered. I got an email, so we're going to go through that. So the email in question reads as follows. Screenshot of the docket notes from her sentencing today. 10 years deferred adjudication. The charge she originally was indicted on is one you can't get probation for. The DA agreed to let her plead to a lesser included charge and go open to the court, meaning she pleads guilty without an agreement. Just let the judge decide. So the DA gives the harder charge on exchange for a guilty plea. They don't have to run the risk of losing the trial, but it does empower the judge to give a probation they could have blocked by law. So she'll be on probation for 10 years. registered sex offender. However, it won't be a final conviction on her record if she completes the probation. Oh, and she gets 60 days in county jail, which she doesn't even have to begin until next year, as you can see in the docket's notes. Which, the image here is the docket's notes. This is not the sentence I would have, well, this one surprised me. The offence, aggravated sexual assault of a child under the age of 14. Are you out of your minds? 10-year probation? No. Registered sex offender for life? Yes. Prison sentence? 10 years. I don't care about defer or plea. Get in your ISO cube, you celibate. You should be ashamed of yourself. Well and truly ashamed. You may have built a life away from what you did, but that doesn't give you the right to live that life. You haven't earned that right. Your right is to rot in a prison cell, Marka, and you know it.